Now the next point. At the core of wala and bara, at the core of wala and bara is love and despising. Love and despising, or love and hate. Love. Look what the Prophet ﷺ said. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى أكون أحب إليه من ولده ووالده والناس أجمعين. You will not be a believer until I'm more beloved to you than your children, your parents, and every human. Love. Love is at the core of wala and bara. Love of Allah entails love of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله in Surah Al Imran. If you love Allah, follow the messenger. Love. At the same time, where there's love, one must despise. Hate or despise. Despise the enemies of Allah. And those who hate Allah and hate the messenger, they're most worthy of despising. The eminent creed of wala and bara is the strongest bond of iman. Mujahid said, the strongest bond of iman is love for Allah's sake and hatred for Allah's sake. It's in Musnad Ahmad. أوثق عرى الإيمان الحب في الله والبغض في الله. أوثق عرى الإيمان الحب في الله والبغض في الله. Side issue here. This statement that I just mentioned, أوثق عرى الإيمان الحب في الله والبغض في الله, it has a chain that's attributed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the authority of Al-Bara ibn Azib. However, it's an authentic statement of Mujahid, but when it's attributed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it has some issues with its chain. If your heart doesn't have and feel iman, one of the strongest way to rejuvenate your iman is establishing wala and bara in your heart. If your heart does not feel iman, one of the biggest ways to rejuvenate that iman in your heart is through the aqeedah of wala and bara. When your love becomes founded on being for the sake of Allah, your heart will then experience the beauty of iman in absolute assurance. How? By direct teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Bukhari and Muslim, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever possesses the following three qualities will have the sweetness, the delight of faith. What are the three qualities? The one whom Allah and His Messenger become dearer to him than anything else. They come dear to you. You love them more than anything else. Number two, the one who loves the person, he only loves him for Allah's sake. Number three, the one who hates to revert, to disbelieve, just like he hates to be thrown in a fire. Hub, wala and bara. Love is at the core of wala and bara. Love is at the core of wala and bara. In order to have truthful loyalty, in order to have bara from someone, you despise that person or belief. Therefore, loving and despising is at the nucleus or kernel of wala and bara. Al-wala and bara is an integral part of iman, and it's necessary for its perfection. You can't perfect your iman without wala and bara. Listen to this authentic hadith in Mustadrak, in Abu Dawood, Ahmad, Tirmidhi, in Sahih al-Jami'. He who loves for Allah's pleasure. Man ahabba fillah. Whoever loves for Allah's pleasure and hates or despises for Allah. وَأَبْغَضَ فِي اللَّهِ أَبْغَضَ فِي اللَّهِ. The Prophet ﷺ said, وَأَبْغَضَ فِي اللَّهِ, and hates for Allah's sake. Today the majority want this out of our vocabulary. If you don't think that despising for the sake of Allah is part of Islam, you have the wrong version of Islam. You don't know what Islam you're talking about. وَأَعْطَى لِلَّهِ وَمَنَعَ لِلَّهِ. The next portion of the hadith says, who donates for Allah's sake and deprives for Allah's sake. وَأَعْطَى لِلَّهِ وَمَنَعَ لِلَّهِ. Then that person has perfected his iman. You have to have all that to perfect your iman. فَقَدْ اسْتَكْمَلَ الْإِيمَانِ. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah has so much statements and so much sections on this issue. It's beyond that which we could cover. But let me give you one of his sentences. And you remember what we mentioned on ijma'. You remember when we spoke on ijma', what it is. He said, من لم يحرم التدين بعد مبعثه صلى الله عليه وسلم بدين اليهود والنصارى بل من لم يكفرهم ويبغضهم فليس بمسلم باتفاق المسلمين. Whoever does not consider it prohibited to follow any faith after the messagehood of the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم. You can't follow any faith other than the faith of the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم. And whoever does not consider other faiths kuffar and despises them, he is not a Muslim by the consensus of all the ulama. By the consensus, by the ijma', bittifaq, he said. A practical example on how you can understand this, I'll give it to you in this scenario. You love your father. Your father gave you a business. He opened a business for you. He owns one like it. He owns one, he opened one for you. You love your dad for all he did for you. Then there's this common employee or manager. He works part-time for you and part-time for your father. That employee is very, very bad to your father. He curses your father, he cheats him, disrespects him, harms him. But to you, he's very good when he works with you. And you and him get along. With your father, he's an oppressor, he's a liar, he's a scammer. But with you, he's good. Do you love him because he's good with you? And then you say, who cares? Who cares what he does with my father? Or does your love for your father entail you to despise him because he's bad with your father, even though he's good with you? The answer is not really that simple. It's only simple for those Allah blessed with guidance. If you have no loyalty to your father, you will say, I don't care about my father. If you have no loyalty to your father, you say, I don't care about my father. He's doing good in my business, and that's all that matters. That's all I care about. That same scenario, the same is with the right of Allah. That's how you look at it. A disbeliever, even if he's good to you, that's if your loyalty is strong to Allah, even if he's good to you, he's not good with Allah. You can't say, I don't really care. Islam regulated everything. Who to love, who not to love, who to dislike, who to despise. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَوْ بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ إِلَّا تَفْعَلُوهُ تَكُنْ فِتْنَةٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَفَسَادٌ كَبِيرٌ. Disbelievers be loyal each other. The disbelievers be loyal each other. Listen to the verse. Those who disbelieve, وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. Those who disbelieve, ally one another. If you Muslims do not become allies, إِلَّا تَفْعَلُوهُ, the speech is for you. If you Muslims don't be loyal each other, what will happen, Ya Allah? Tell us what will happen. تَكُمْ فِتْنَةٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَفَسَادٌ كَبِيرٌ. There will be great fitna and oppression on this earth. Mischief, corruption, oppression. The solution to your trials is in the book we abandoned. They be loyal each other, you be loyal each other.